Okay, let's start with a big one. What if your life, all of it, from the family you were born into to the way you'll eventually die, was already written? In this explainer, we're going to dive into a really fascinating concept called the Destiny Matrix. It's an idea that comes from the writings of Shui Fang of Life's Chanyan, and believe me, it challenges just about everything we think we know about fate and free will. So, have you ever had that feeling? That weird sense that so many parts of your life, like your family, your appearance, even some huge life events, were somehow picked for you way before you ever had a say in it? Well, what if that wasn't just some random feeling? According to the philosophy we're looking at today, that's actually the very first clue to understanding something you could call life's unseen blueprint. The core idea here is that all these things in our lives that feel so permanent and unchangeable, well, they aren't random at all. They're actually evidence of a preset structure, a kind of framework that guides our entire journey from the very beginning to the very end. So what is this structure? What is this framework? Well, the philosophy we're talking about gives it a pretty powerful name: the Destiny Matrix. The Destiny Matrix, or Mingjin, is laid out as a fixed constant, something that's set for your current lifetime. Probably the easiest way to wrap your head around it is to think of it like a cosmic balance sheet. It's the total settlement of all the good things and bad things from a past life, which then creates the unchangeable stage for the life you're living right now. And just look at how all-encompassing this matrix is supposed to be. We are not talking about small details here. The source claims it determines basically everything: your parents, when and where you were born, your natural talents, how much money you have, your most important relationships, and it even goes so far as to include the way you'll eventually die. It's the whole shebang, the entire framework of a life, locked in right from the start. So if your entire life is basically a pre-written story, what are you supposed to do about it? Well, the source gives some very direct, and maybe even a little surprising, advice on how to handle it. The message is really one of radical acceptance. According to this text, trying to fight against your destiny, this path that's already set, is just futile. It only ends up creating more suffering. The advice is pretty blunt. Resign yourself to fate. Just accept the path you've been given for this life. But, and this is a huge but, that is absolutely not where the story ends. Because while this life's matrix might be fixed, the next one is completely up for grabs. And this, right here, is the crucial turning point in this whole philosophy. This is where the hope comes in. This is the key. The idea is that your actions, your thoughts, your intentions, right now, become the very tools you use to design and build your destiny in the next life. Your current life becomes the direct cause for the next life's effect. You're the architect of what's to come. Okay, so how do you actually do that, right? How do you consciously build a better matrix for the future? The source lays out a very specific method it calls the path of cultivation. And I really love the metaphor that's used for this. It compares building your next destiny to tending a spiritual garden. And the work is two-sided. On one hand, you have to be actively pulling out the weeds, things like jealousy, anger, greed, all that stuff. And on the other hand, you have to be intentionally planting and nurturing the flowers: truth, kindness, love, faith. It's this constant, ongoing process of purification. And let's be real, this is not a small job. The source calls it a huge systematic project that demands conscious attention to every single word, every action, and even every thought. It's a commitment to being totally aware, moment to moment. Now, I know that might sound incredibly complicated, almost impossible. But the philosophy argues that even though the day-to-day practice is super detailed, the main principle behind it all is actually refreshingly simple. So, after all this talk about karma and cultivation and spiritual gardening, what does it all really boil down to? What's the one simple truth that holds this entire system together? It all comes down to this one simple, powerful instruction: walk the path of God. This is presented as the ultimate key. According to the author Zhu Feng, actively choosing to follow this path is the one true way to break free from a sorrowful destiny and consciously build a joyful one for your next life. And that kind of leaves us with a pretty powerful question to think about, doesn't it? If your actions today are truly designing your destiny matrix for tomorrow, what does that mean for how you live your life right now? What weeds are you pulling, and what flowers are you planting in the garden of your own future?